an unlikely possible Messiah in Overton, William Franklin, and his Lady Mary. Now, William was a rope maker, aged 36, married with 3 children, from Overton. By all accounts, a civil man, diligent in his calling, honest in dealings, careful to provide for his family. He was also known as very zealous in his duties of religion. Now, this all continued, everyday life, perfectly normal, until 1646 when he became ill. And he stated, "I am God. I am Jesus." He started to speak in tongues and announce strange prophecies. And at this point, he was expelled from his local church. Mary was a needlewoman from London. She was also thought of well by locals, to have been of honest conversation and to have lived in good repute and religiously amongst them. Apparently she was a very unhappy woman. Her husband had left her for her housemaid and they'd absconded to Holland. Now, it was a neighbour of Mary's that introduced William to Mary. And apparently they hit it off straight away. They just kind of got each other. They would often meet up while she had visions and he would speak in tongues. You know, the normal thing you'd do while you get together with friends. Apparently, one day they had a vision that they should go to Ham. And the pair of them took this to mean Hampshire. So off they trotted, back towards Overton. They were staying in none other than the Star in Andover, which now is the White Hart. Mary defined herself as the Lady Mary, which was quite handy and strange given the fact they were staying at the Star. William left Mary at the Star for a couple of weeks while he went to London to go and gather some money. While he was gone, she was left to gather in the people, and she put on quite a show. She claimed to have seen Christ and that he will appear to those who follow. So they just waited for William to come back. She used birth pangs to encapsulate the people that were viewing her show, and she was claiming that every time she had one, she was rebirthing them spiritually. People were gathering in large groups to see what the new Christ and his Lady Mary had to say. At this point, they were thrown out of the Star for causing too much disruption. They went off to Crooks Eastern, which is only about 10 miles away, where they came across the rector, William Woodward, who they won over, and he gave them a place to stay. Mary's closest fellows were Mrs. Woodward, who was apparently her elect lady, and Goody Waterman. But apparently she was quite sceptical to start with, but Mary soon won her over. Henry Dixon and Edward Spadbury were also in the close-knit following. A gentleman called Humphrey Ellis, a minister in Winchester, wrote a pamphlet in 1650 called Pseudo Christus, recording all the goings-on. According to Ellis, Mary was very adept at reading her audience. She would change the way she did her performance depending on who she had there. So if they were sceptics, she obviously needed to persuade them. Or if they were believers, some called them gullible, she would change performance again. The play they performed was designed very well by the pair. Unfortunately, William and Mary were arrested. And then they had their ultimate stage. Court. This is the one place people thought they would let their guard down, but they didn't. They just carried on their performance. It was bandied about in court that Mary had committed adultery, but she swore blind she never did. Although she was pregnant. A divine baby, maybe? I comforted him not for carnal copulation, but as a fellow feeler of my misery. Apparently this had the court in stitches, with a lot of them saying, "Yeah, we think you companied him as a fellow feeler indeed." March 1650, and Mary and the ladies were sent to Bridwell for 6 months. The men were sent to common jail, and William was threatened strongly to try and persuade him to recant. And he did, much to the dismay of his followers and Mary. They were all held until they could manage to find a bond or somebody to bail them out, except for Mary, who petitioned to get out because she was pregnant. She was released and she went back to London. The outcome in the end? It was after Mary and William's rantings, the Blasphemy Act was put in place in August 1650. Not just down to this infamous couple, but it was a big part of it. There's nothing said afterwards of what happened to them all, except for Rector Woodward, who then became a rector in Kent, and apparently he still raved and still believed. Many people have made these claims over the years, being the new Christ, being Mary, having baby Jesus, all these sorts of things. But they were quite adept at it. They were very good at it. In fact, they had a lot of followers. Well, until they were caught anyway. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please do subscribe because it's just great. And have a look at my other videos if you haven't seen them already. Thank you.